Please be below 50. Please be below Bill.
55.
When he told me 58, I was like, I'm gonna get this under control.
Magic, what am I up? I don't want to know.
I'm probably like
Slow.
I was going to say
38.
maybe double digit.
Yeah, I might be 10.
6,200.
Airball is in the game for $950,000. Do the math and you realize he is down heaps.
That was 22.
Stanley, you going to call out of the button?
Good call. Heads up.
William Thompson says, Chuck, how many drinks
In this
you had?
video for CoinPoker, everyone folds around to Stanley Choi, billionaire, poker player on the button, playing about $300,000 deep at 100, 200, 400. He raises it up to $1,200. Nik Airball, who's currently stuck his eyeballs for $500,000, decides to bump it up with 7-3 because, well, why not? For the meme, so we can make content out of it. He has 7-3 suited in the small blind of diamonds. He makes it 6,200. Background to Stanley. He has a very easy call. Let's head to the flop.
Just 2 Guinness.
May the most handsome man win.
I have had a
I'm not in the pot. How can the most
many, many, many more degenerate St. Patrick days. This is very, very tame.
Tragedy.
The flop comes. King of diamonds, jack of hearts, 2 of spades. Nik Airball has an airball, except for a backdoor flush draw. And Stanley has middle pair, top kicker. Nik Airball, continuation bets for $6,000 into the 7,200 pot. And this is a spot where this continuation bet can range from being really good to really bad, depending on how the ranges in play are going to interact with each other. Given Nik Airball is 3-betting the 7-3 of diamonds, he's probably 3-betting a ton of low connected gappers, maybe some offsuit hands like 10-8 offsuit for all I know. And if he does have that much trash in his range is going to be really bad, just in general. Because while normally the small blind 3-betting range is quite strong and linear, obviously Nik Airball's is not. Also, it depends on how Stanley's going to play. If Stanley's going to be calling with any 2 cards because he doesn't care about money at all, well then all boards are going to miss him, right? But if his range is going to be reasonable and he's going to be continuing with mostly high cards, pairs, and suited connectors, well, then he's probably going to have something on this board a large chunk of the time. In this spot, though, Nik Airball goes $6,000, which is reasonable enough with a backdoor flush draw, no showdown value. Stanley, with middle pair top kicker, has a super easy call. Let's go to the turn.
And Guinness is like, again, it's like 4%. It's barely even, there's barely even alcohol in that thing.
$30 large.
Wow, Stanley really being put to the test here. Airball has nothing. He is drawing stone cold dead. But he has just bet 30,000 into 25.
The turn is the 10 of clubs, which may not seem that bad for Stanley, but it actually isn't amazing because now he loses to the very obvious ace-queen and perhaps even queen-9, as well as jack-10 and any king he was already losing to. Nik Airball fully recognizes this, that he would be 3-betting ace-queen and queen-9 a lot of the time, and pocket kings and jacks and maybe even 2s for all we know. And Nik Airball blasted 30,000 into the 25,200 pot. And you may say, is this necessary at all with a 7-3 of diamonds, a total garbage, absolute trash hand? And I would say probably not. In this spot, I think to continue betting, you probably want to have a hand that has some equity, and that's going to be any hand containing an ace, queen, or 9. I got to presume all those hands will be better to bluff with than just the 7-3, because when you get called and you have 7-3, you are just done, right? You have like no equity. And typically when you are making big bets, most poker scenarios on the flop or the turn and the river, you at least want to have some outs to improve to the best hand. And in this spot, that's going to be some sort of a gut shot. Anyway, he goes 30,000. Stanley is in a tough spot. Let's see what he does.
This is a play that certainly wasn't working 3 hours ago, but does it work here?
Maybe not today. Maybe today you're more handsome.
Stanley takes his time and gives it a decent amount of deliberation, which I definitely like to do in general against players who are perhaps overly loose, splashy, and battly, as Nik Airball certainly is. Because you want to do everything you possibly can, in general, to induce them to try to bluff you on the river. Because if I'm sitting here in Stanley's shoes, I'm going to call and probably make a crying call on a whole lot of rivers against Nik Airball in particular because, well, he has the 7-3 suited in his range, so he probably has a whole lot of other junk in his range, as we've seen demonstrated many times on the videos here on youtube.com/pokercoaching. Make sure you go down there, click the like and subscribe button, click the notification bell. We put out videos all the time for you. So, in this spot, I think Stanley wants to look as weak as possible and then call, which is what he does. Let's go to the river. The river is the 2 of diamonds, pairing the bottom card on the board. If anybody could ever have a 9, it's Nik Airball. And in this scenario, the pot is 85,200 with 255,000 remaining in the effective stacks. What I want to know is, what do you think Nik Airball is about to do in this spot? You think he's going to check the 7 high? You think he's going to bet 45,000? Do you think he's going to bet 160,000? Or do you think he is going to rip it all in? And more importantly, if he does bluff, do you think it's going to work? Let me know down there in the comment section.
160.
Wow.
60.
He bets 30 into 25 on the turn, and he bets 160 into 80 on the river.
Nik Airball with the total airball is absolutely not afraid. Again, to make this bluff, I have to presume you want to have a queen in your range, maybe a 9, maybe an ace. 7-3 seems wild to me, but, you know, Nik Airball got his name somehow. Let's see if Stanley can find the call.
I think I know what you have.
Can Stanley make this call? I mean, this is hard. 3-bet pot. Airball is fired. Is he really betting 160 into 80 on the river?
Stanley? Don't forget, chicken live longer.
If you want to battle it out against me and a bunch of other poker coaching coaches and a bunch of poker coaching students, I have just the thing for you. We are hosting a weekly $2,000 free roll on CoinPoker.com. To get in the game, head over to pokercoaching.com/freeroll right now. I'll see you there. Let's get back to the hand.
That's how big this pot is right now. Nearly $250,000 in there, and it's 160 to call.
I bluff all night. I have to have it one time. Mathematically speaking, and I know you're a math guy.
Again, Airball 3-bet pre. He bet 30,000 into 25,000 on the turn, and here he just bet 160 into 80. Stanley makes the call. Stanley just made the call. Oh my God. That is amazing. $405,000 pot. Stanley called 30,000 on the turn and then 160 on the river.
What's happening? How do they call with these hands?
Wow.
You see my hand?
Yes.
You did?
Yes. Somebody beat me.
No, I mean, like, did you see my hand when I was looking at it in the hand?
What?
Did you see my hand when I was looking at it?
I don't know. Of course not.
After a lot of thought, Stanley makes the call and scoops a massive $400,000 pot. You may say, was he perhaps slow rolling / Hollywooding on the river? I don't know, probably not. But in this scenario, again, like we discussed on the turn, to preserve the scenario where you can kind of call light on the turn in the river against overly loose and battling players in the future, you may want to make them think you were actually thinking about folding, whereas in reality you had no intention of thinking about folding. I'm not saying to slow roll people for no good reason, but a really good reason is to induce them to try to bluff you again in the future. Maybe you say things like, oh man, I almost folded, but yeah, come up with some silly excuse. Because you always want people who like to play with airballs blasting off their airballs into you. I'll talk to you next time.